welcome to the very first episode of the Intentional Living with Emlah podcast. This is going to be a space where we will explore what it means to lead an intentional life. And we will do this through stories. We will do this through strategies and soulful conversations. This will be with wonderful guests who are people just like me and you leading an intentional life. I am Dr. Emlah Tubo, your host, and we will hold hands on this journey of intentional living. I could sit here and pretend like I know it all, but my advice to my clients is always, if you see somebody who pretends that they know it all, run away. Run 180 degrees opposite from them. Because as your host, we will lead the intentional life that we all desire. Who doesn't want to lead a fulfilled life? I am yet to meet somebody who doesn't want to lead a fulfilled life. And when I talk about fulfilled life and I talk about intentional living, I have a tradition with my daughter, Mala. I am a mom of 3, and my daughter, 13 years old, I'm blessed because she loves to spend time with me, and we go on walks and we have our tea tradition. We sit down and we drink tea. Sometimes she likes her fancy teas, and I just drink my plain old green tea or any herbal tea that I love. And she said, Mommy, you talk about this intentional living thing way too much. Can you really break it down for me? What is intentional living? And I said, we look at it like this. Almost everybody has their values. You have your goals, you have your priorities, and you have your long-term visions. Take a minute and think about what those are for you. Those will be different for every single person. When you make decisions and you make choices every day in your life, you are curating a lifestyle that aligns with your goals, your values, your priorities, and your long-term vision. This is intentional living. If you design a life that reflects what truly matters to you, rather than letting habits, societal expectations, and convenience dictate what you do in your life, this is intentional living. So it doesn't have like a standard dictionary definition. Intentional living is literally living your life according to what matters, according to what reflects and takes you small, consistent steps in the direction of your personal values, your personal goals, and your personal priorities. I grew up in my home country of Cameroon. As a little girl, I was sick and silent. As a little girl, I had typhoid. I had dysentery, cholera, infectious diseases left and right. I had malaria over 35 times. Looking back, that has been the driving force of preventive medicine being a forefront in my work. As a pharmacist, an integrative pharmacist, my goal is not to rely solely on pharmaceuticals. My goal is to rely on everything that will help us lead a fulfilled and intentional life. And this includes preventive medicine. This includes pharmaceuticals. This includes togetherness. I moved from Cameroon to the US in hopes for a better life. I arrived Chicago with $300 in my wallet and a hope and strong desire to make it in life, to be able to lead a life that I dreamed of, to be able to take care of the people around me. That to me is success, being able to take care of myself and the people around me. So I encountered a host family, a family that hosted me as an international student. For 2 years, they took good care of me. And that we will explore a little bit when we talk about positive social connections, when I introduce the pillars of intentional living. I lived in Chicago for 2 years as I pursued my master's degree, after which I moved to Ohio, which is my current home. Living in Ohio and pursuing my Doctor of Pharmacy degree at The Ohio State University, I figured out that 60% of Americans live with a chronic disease. That's a lot of us. A chronic disease that we're not curing ourselves from. We're going to live with this disease until we die. You ask people when you walk around with them, when you meet people, how are you doing, Emlah? How are you doing? And the answer is typically, I'm fine. Nobody stops to tell you that I am incredibly fulfilled with my life right now. Just imagine how fun it will be if you ask somebody, how are you doing? And the person turns around and goes, I'm incredibly fulfilled with my life right now. Intentional living does not happen by accident. We have to build it. Even if you're not incredibly fulfilled with your life right now, the goal of this podcast is to help us move small, consistent steps in the direction of our goals. That way, we can be fulfilled with our lives today better than we were yesterday. Intentional living does not happen by accident. Intentional living has to be built. So think of a fulfilled life as here where you want to be. Intentional living are the steps that you take. Think about a staircase. You're moving one step at a time to the top of the staircase. The top of the staircase is the fulfilled and meaningful life that you need, that we desire in life. But intentional living, what we're going to be doing in this podcast is holding hands as we climb those stairs. Think about holding the rail as you climb the stairs. Think about holding hands, or think about climbing the stairs with a little child who just learned how to walk. That child is me. That child is you. And as we hold hands, we're going to be a little bit more sturdy as we climb and we get to where we want to be, that intentional life, that fulfilled life, that meaningful life, which is simplistic. And we cannot do this without optimal health. That's the why behind this podcast. Behind the Intentional Living with Emlah podcast, you need your health. When your health suffers, everything around you suffers. When your health suffers, you suffer. Your caregivers suffer. Your family suffers. Your friends suffer. Your community suffers. If I am not healthy, if I was down today, we'll not be recording this podcast. We'll not be here discussing the steps towards intentional living. If you were not healthy, you will not be thinking about furthering your life, about important things like living the life that you really desire. So with my story, my joys, my strategies, my struggles, and the joys and struggles of our guests, we will curate this life which will help us to really feel more successful, to feel more fulfilled in life. And we will change that narrative of when people ask you, how are you doing? And you say, I'm fine. And underneath that fine, you hear, I didn't sleep well last night. My back hurts. My knee hurts. My hair is falling out. Oh my gosh, these menopause symptoms. Oh my goodness, I just don't feel like myself. I'm feeling kind of depressed. How are we going to change that narrative? How are we going to make sure that we are living our lives like today is the best day yet? I thought about this for a long time in my life, going through the struggles and a difficult early childhood. And it provoked me to think about the 4 pillars of intentional living, to make it as simple in a way that we can remember it. And we don't have to make life complex. We want to make it simple, because the simpler it is, the more intentional it is. The simpler it is, the more chances we have of it being sustainable so that we can continue living it. We don't want to do something that we're just going to do while we listen to the podcast or just this day of today, like, New Year's resolutions, and then by mid-January, we're all tired and we drop it. How are we going to make this consistent? How are we going to make this sustainable? I want you guys to think of a table. Think of a table with 4 legs. And these will be the 4 pillars of intentional living. These 4 pillars will be nutrition, movement, inner alignment, and positive social connections. We will dig deep into these 4 pillars. We will dig deep and dive deep into these 4 pillars. And everything we talk about during this podcast will be centered around one of these 4 pillars. We will invite guests who are experts in these various fields. We would invite guests who are novices like you and I in these various fields. And we would ask them, what does intentional living mean to you? What strategies do you implement in your life every day to make sure that intentional living really becomes a thing? We would also have segments. Supplement School with Emlah, one of my favorite segments. Just coining it just made me feel happy. I, as a doctor of pharmacy, I have seen firsthand the use of pharmaceuticals in preventing diseases and treating diseases. We need those. But also, I have seen firsthand the use of supplements in preventing diseases, in keeping us healthy and keeping those biomarkers in the normal and optimal range. We have people who take supplements because a friend said, oh, this supplement is good, or because a friend has been taking it, or because we saw somebody on TikTok or Instagram advertising the supplement, or because we saw it at a grocery store or saw a beautiful sign for it. But as a doctor of pharmacy, my goal is to help everyone take a supplement that is good for their body. I'm going to spend some time in this segment, which is Supplement School with Emlah, to teach you about these supplements. Why are you taking collagen? Is it good for you? How does that collagen get broken down when it gets into your body? How does your body absorb it? What is the bioavailability of it? Does it have any drug interactions with any other prescriptions that you're taking? When you take prescriptions, what nutrients does it deplete in your body? What other foods can you put on your plate to replenish these nutrients in your body? Those are the things that we'll be talking about in Supplement School with Emlah. And because the first pillar of intentional living is nutrition, in an ideal world, what we will do is put nutrient-dense foods on our plates. But you know that as busy as life gets, as a mom of 3, as an owner of 2 businesses, as a speaker, life gets in the way of life. That's funny to say that, but that's the truth. Life does get in the way of life. So I don't normally eat the nutrient-dense food that I would love to eat every single day. So as an insurance policy, I take supplements. Think about it. I would love to get all my sulforaphane from cruciferous vegetables. But I can't eat broccoli and kale for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That will be boring. So somehow I figure out to be able to include supplements into my daily life that will give me an insurance policy to keep my biomarkers. And I would explain all of this to you. That's what Supplement School with Emlah will be about. The other segment that will be in this podcast that I'm very excited about is intentional initiative. There's really nothing revolutionary about intentional living. It's really the things that we all know. It's the things that we already know. But how can we do them? I know you and I know that we need to drink more water. We know that we need to exercise. We know we need to eat healthy. But how do we actually get this done on a day-to-day basis and consistently in such a way that we can get results? I'm not going to go to the gym one day and lift and then expect my muscles to be up there. We need muscles. We need to build muscle because muscle is the currency for the future. That's what I will need in my old life. As I'm getting older, I need muscle to be able to continue to live. But I'm not going to go to the gym one day and expect to build muscle. What can I do on a day-to-day basis that will help me build muscle consistently? So I coined this section, the intentional initiative section. And the intentional initiative section, we will come up with a small change that we can make. And this change will help us to consistently do it. We will come up with a way that we can continuously do it every single day in order to get results. A practical and sustainable intentional initiative every single episode. We will help each other to lead the fulfilled life that we desire. We'll be focusing on these 4 pillars of nutrition, movement, inner alignment, and positive social connections. Let's pause on that positive social connections for a second. That's where it happens. Save this podcast. Subscribe to this podcast. Share it with a positive social connection in your life. Share it with a friend. Share it with a family member. Review it so that more people lead the intentional life that we desire. Be kind to your body.